We are continuing today, Meretz Hashem, in the fourth chapter of Shaar Habitachon, and the Mechaber says as follows: Yiftach Elokim b'chiras avodas yomer. So if you remember again, the Mechaber outlined for us that in the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in Ruchnios, there are essentially three steps. Step number one is a person makes a choice about what they want to do. And by the way, what applies, of course, for mitzvahs will also apply to Averas. So step number one is choosing what I want to do. Step number two is the decision to execute on that choice. And step number three is the actual physical actualization of that choice. What the Mechaber pointed out to us, something incredibly profound, which is I control steps 1 and 2, but step number 3, the actual physical actualization, that is controlled by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Of course, I have to put in the effort to kind of get things started, but the culmination of the success, the actualization, that's up to the Ribono Shel Olam. But if a person makes a mistake and they think that step 1, the choice, is up to Hashem, and a person says, I'm not going to make any decisions. I'm not going to go ahead and direct myself in a particular way. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make my decisions for me. He has already strayed from the proper path, and his feet have slipped away from the correct way of serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Such a profound idea that if a person abdicates their responsibility for making decisions, and instead says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will make the decisions for me, that is a profound abdication of personalistic responsibility. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself has already commanded us what to choose. He's already commanded us to choose mitzvahs. The choice, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us what he wants us to choose. And the fact that he told us what he wants us to choose indicates that the choice is our responsibility. So if at the end of the day, if ultimately, again, the ability to physically perform that which we have chosen comes to fruition, so remember again, if you make a decision to do something beautiful and it actually materializes, the schar that you get is for the decision, which is quite interesting. The schar, the reward that I get, is not necessarily for the physical actualization, because as we've established, that's up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. My schar, my reward, comes about because of the decision that I have made. So I get rewarded for step 1, which is the choice, and step 2, the decision to execute on the choice. And ultimately, again, at least beginning the process of completing the execution of that choice. But let's say again, I make a choice to do something, and I even make the choice to execute on that decision, but yet say I'm prevented from physical actualization of that deed. So ultimately, again, I still get reward for the first 2 stages. Right? I still get reward for the first 2 stages. For the choice, and the willingness to execute on the choice. And of course, we're framing this in the positive, but of course it goes without saying, but we'll say it anyway, that whatever applies to the positive, of course, is going to apply for the negative as well. So again, just to kind of recapture this a little bit, or review this a little bit, 3 fundamental steps in the actualization of one's personal responsibility. This is both in the realm of mitzvahs and averos. Step 1, a decision, right? A decision, or I should say a choice. I have a choice, that's mine. Step 2, the decision to execute on that choice. Step 3, the physical fulfillment or physical carrying out of that decision to execute. The bottom line is the Mechaber says, I control steps 1 and 2. Step number 3 is really up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Of course, I have to put in the effort to begin the actualization, but the culmination of that is up to the Ribono Shel Olam. V'hefresh. So now, the Mechaber picks up on something which is really quite fascinating, which is there is a fundamental distinction between bitachon as it comes to worldly matters, which we'll call like a person's parnasa, versus bitachon when it comes to ruchniya, spirituality. Meaning, when it comes ultimately again to worldly matters, so a person we spoke about has to put in effort, but there's a recognition that I am absolutely wholly dependent on HaKadosh Baruch Hu for success. Yet, when it comes to spiritual matters, I am only dependent on God for step 3, But steps 1 and 2, i.e. the choice, and the willingness to execute on that choice, that's mine and mine alone. Now the Mechaber deals with, so why is there a distinction between bitachon in worldly matters versus bitachon in ruchnius? And he explains, Shaar Habitachon lo niglu lano afnei atov v'hara b'sibma min hasibos milal dei shevisam v'lo afnei hafsed v'hara b'ktsasam bilti ktsasam kila manu. So he says very simply, when it comes to worldly matters, we don't necessarily know what's right and what's wrong. In other words, let's take parnasa. I know that I have to put in effort to get my parnasa. My parnasa comes from Hashem. Do I know with certainty which avenue of a livelihood HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to pursue in order to actualize my life goals? I don't know. I could try to figure out my talents, my abilities, my dispositions, like we spoke about in earlier chapters. But Lamaisa, I don't know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do. He says, "Kilo abmadnu al izem malocha min hamalochos shetov alanu v'yoser ru'uya levakashas hateref v'abrios v'atov v'lo be'ize schoro be'ize derech u'be'ize ma'isem min ha'ma'isem ha'olam natzliach shniskag lahem." I don't know. I don't know what trade I'm supposed to take. I don't know what profession I'm supposed to take. I don't know. I don't know what the right path is. U'min adin alinu sheniftach be'elokim be'bechirasa v'ashlamasa la'ezreinu amashi yesh bo tovasenu. So therefore, because at the end of the day, I don't know exactly what it is that I'm supposed to do for my parnasa, so therefore, I have to have complete bitachon in Hashem. My job is to put in some level of ishtadlus, some level of effort, but lamaisa, even the decision itself, I don't know if the decision is correct or incorrect. Therefore, again, I dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu to awaken my heart to make the right decision. That's why when it comes to worldly matters, the bitachon in every step is absolute. This is different when it comes to spirituality. When it comes to spirituality, it's not like this. When it comes to ruchnias, you see, this is incredible. When it comes to parnasa, I don't know if I'm making the right decision. I have a livelihood. I have a career. Is this the right career for me? Is this what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from me? I don't know. So I have to dive into HaKadosh Baruch Hu to help me find the right path. When it comes to ruchnius, what Hashem wants of me is unequivocally clear. As we just said before, if I were to dive into Hashem, help me try to figure out what I should do in ruchnius. What are you talking about? Hashem gave us a Torah. He gave us a Torah, and that Torah outlines the exact expectations that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has. And he says, to go ahead and dive into Hashem to help me with the choice about ruchnius, that's flawed. That's flawed. He says, "Niyatoim bidvarenu uschala bebitchonenu mipnei shekvar kadma hoda'asa osano darchei avodah asher yo'ilenu ba'olam hazeh ba'olam haba." Kadosh Baruch Hu has already informed us about all the different ways in which He wants us to serve Him. Kimo sha'amar vayetzavenu Hashem la'asos es kol hachukim ha'ele liyiras Hashem Elokeinu l'tov lanu kol hayomim. Pasuk says Hashem has commanded us all of the chukim, everything He wants us to do for our own benefits for all days. It will be our merit that we guard and observe. So this is incredible. So what the Mechaber essentially is highlighting over here is a really fundamental distinction. When it comes to worldly matters, I need HaKadosh Baruch Hu's help every step of the way, including making the decision about what worldly matters I should engage in. Because it's not immediately clear to me, what should I engage in for Parnasa? What should I engage in for Gashmias? What should I do? I don't know what the right answer is. And therefore I need Hashem's help every step of the way. That's not true in Ruchnius. This loops back to what we said before. In Ruchnius, the first two steps are mine and mine alone. The choice, and I know what Hashem wants me to choose. And the desire to execute on that choice. I know what Hashem wants me to do. There's absolute clarity. The only time I need bitachon when it comes to my ruchnius is I need bitachon that Hashem's going to help me with the actual physical actualization of my decisions that I make in life. That I am wholly and totally reliant on Hashem. Va'od, kinyane ha'olam, yesh hatoshav hasiva meshubachas, meguna v'ameguna meshubachas. There's another distinction. When it comes to material matters, sometimes the things that appear to be good turn out to be bad. And that which appears to be bad turns out to be good. And therefore, again, I need HaKadosh Baruch Hu's assistance every step of the way. In spirituality, both from mitzvahs and averos, there's clarity. That which is good, and that which is bad, and there's clarity. So because there is clarity, therefore, I only need bitachon in stage number 3, which is the actual physical carrying out of the choices that I've made. But the choices themselves, to do something good and to abstain from something negative, those decisions themselves are absolutely, unequivocally clear, and therefore don't require bitachon. Incredible. We'll stop over here for today. Shkayach, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.